Hey, how you doing? Welcome back to Mobility Monday. So, by the time you watch this, I will have done, I hope, Ironman Leeds. At the point of recording it, I've got Ironman Leeds coming up this weekend. So I thought I would do a session today of some mobility work to go through if you've got a race or if you've done a race. So all the stuff to loosen yourself up going into a race or to do after you've done the race and everything's feeling a bit tight. We'll be doing some stretching, but mostly foam rolling. So you'll need a foam roller and a ball. If you haven't got either of those, then you can swap the exercises out for other things you like doing, or you can look at some of the previous sessions I've done where we've just done stretching or just done rolling. So you can choose your preference there. So let's get started in this. I'm doing this to prep myself for Ironman Leeds, but this could be any sort of race, or it could just be if you're feeling tight and you want to loosen things up. So let's get started with some kneeling hip mobility. Kneeling on one knee, if you like to have a cushion underneath your knee, then go for that. Kneeling on one knee, tucking the tailbone under. So imagine our pelvis is a bowl of water, drawing up at the front, tipping the water out the back. I'm falling over. That's not a good start, is it, if I can't even kneel on one knee? So tucking under, tipping the water out the back, hold it for a second and relax. So let's do it in time with our breath. So breathing out as we tuck under, breathing in as we relax. Breathing out as we tuck under, breathing in as we relax. And we're just trying to loosen up at the front of the hip there. Now you could do this before any race. Doesn't have to be an Ironman or something. You always want to make sure that your body's nice and loose, no tight muscles before you go. Some people worry about stretching before exercise because it might slow us down. If you were going for, the Olympic trials or something, then yes, maybe you don't want to. But generally, if our muscles are tight, for example, if your quads are tight, your thigh muscles are tight, they're going to be pulling on that kneecap, then you get all that friction under the kneecap, and that can lead to knee pain. So generally, I would always say loosen things off before exercising. In my case, I wouldn't be doing this session just before the race. The race we start, I need to be there at 4 a.m. So I'm definitely not going to have time for rolling before the race. Let's swap sides. But this could be done the day before, a few days before, or in the run up. So just making sure that everything's feeling nice and looser as we go into the race. Nothing feeling too tight, nothing pulling, tugging where it shouldn't do, and making sure we've just got that full range of motion where we want it. So same on this side, tuck under, release, tuck under, release. It can be a useful time to check in with our thoughts as well. Trying to calm ourselves down. Often in the run up to a race, we've got that panicky feeling, we've got all our thoughts whirring around. So just doing some steady breathing in time with our mobility work can help to calm down the nervous system. Remember, when we do those long, slow breaths out, we're calming down the nervous system. So focus on those long, slow breaths to calm yourself as well as to help you with that mobility work. From there, I'm going to take one knee out about 45 degrees to the side, and I'm just pushing forward. So I'm getting a nice stretch down the inside of my thigh there. And then I'm coming back, pushing back, and I'm stretching into my hamstring. So I'm pushing forwards, loosening up the inside of the thigh. I can also think about pushing this knee forward, loosening up the ankle, and then coming back into the hamstring. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. People always ask, well, should I be stretching or should I be rolling? I would say do whichever you prefer. I do a combination. There's things like my hips that I know I get into far better through stretching, mobility work, other things that I feel I get in far better with my foam roller. So choose which feels better for you for where you're trying to reach. Choose which you prefer because it's the one you're going to do. There's evidence in favor of both. There's evidence against each as well. You'll know for yourself what makes you feel better. Swapping over onto the other side. For myself, I'm definitely a fan of mobility work. So movement, getting that movement at the joint. I'm not a fan of stretching. I just find it boring. I'm not very good at holding myself to account to kind of do it for long enough. If you are stretching, you really need to do it for long enough. If you're only holding those stretches for 20 seconds or something, they're not really achieving their goal. So for me, I prefer rolling. It's just that bit active. I feel like I can get into it. I can really target the muscles where I want. But that's a personal preference. If you prefer stretching, then absolutely go for that. Also, a good opportunity as you go through this just to check in on your body, make sure nothing's feeling sort of tighter than it should be. So as we go through, this will be a slightly longer session than normal to make sure that we can actually go through everything we need to. But if you're doing something that feels really tight, then stay there for a little bit longer. I'm then going to go into my quads. So I'm going to do the couch stretch. There's various different stretches you can do here. In fact, I'm just going to grab another cushion. So you want to definitely have a cushion underneath your knee, and then you've got your foot up against, it's called the couch stretch. So you could be up against a couch, a bed, anything really. And I'm just putting that cushion there so that the edge of the box isn't digging into my foot. And then I'm tucking under. I can feel my quads are quite tight here. So I'm tucking under, same as we were before, but now I'm feeling it more into my thighs. Tucking under, trying to tip the water out the back. I'm nowhere near tipping the water out the back. I'm still tipping it out the front, but that's the direction of travel. I can make it a little bit easier by taking the knee a bit further forwards. And then as it loosens, you can start to bring that knee further back. So it's that tuck under, tip the water out the back. If you don't like this one, it can be a bit aggressive on your knee. If you don't like kneeling on your knee, then you could do it standing, exactly the same. I just find it easier to kind of keep myself in position, hold myself to account when I'm kneeling like that, or you can do it lying like that. All of those are going to be compressing the knee though. So if your knee doesn't like that, then don't do that one. Don't be doing anything that's going to make things feel worse before a race. Swapping over onto the other side. And again, as you go, you can make a mental note of anything that needs a bit longer. Come back and do another session on there afterwards. Do watch out for stretching things that don't want to be stretched. If you've picked up a bit of a niggle in the run up to the race because your training volume's gone up, if you've pulled a muscle, you don't want to be stretching it. So if it's just feeling tight, that's fine. But if you've pulled it, then don't be stretching it because that's just going to be pulling it apart again. Sometimes rolling or rolling around the affected area can help. But if you think you've actually got an injury rather than just a tight muscle, then I wouldn't be stretching it, or I'd definitely be speaking to a physio, somebody, to get some guidance on that. Lovely. And then I'm just going to do a little bit of mid to low back. So kneeling on all fours, we'll go into our cat cow. So belly button up to the ceiling, getting that stretch through the upper back, engaging the core, drawing up as far as we can. And then belly button comes down, head comes up. Belly button up, head down, push into the hands, belly button down, head up. Few more. Then on all fours, I'm going to put my right hand in front of my left hand, drop my hips and my kind of rib cage out to the right side, while scooping my bum round to the left. So if you're looking from above, you'd see a banana shape curving out to the right side. You can just move yourself gently around, moving those hips around, moving the rib cage around, just to change where you feel that stretch. I can get that stretch to be through my arm, through the back of the rib cage, through the side, into my kind of lower back. Swap onto the other side, so other hand out on the other side. And it goes without saying, but as with all of our mobility work, we're trying to build our mobility. We're not trying to force anything. So please don't be aggressive in that stretching. Just gently ease yourself in, gently trying to build that range of motion. Lovely. From there, I'm going into foam rolling. Most of the things I'm doing, you can probably stretch those muscles instead, but I'll just be talking you through foam rolling. If you don't have a foam roller, I would strongly, strongly advise getting one. If you have one that is buried up in the attic or something, I would strongly, strongly advise retrieving it. So I'm going to start off on my quads, lying on my front, elbows on the floor, and just rolling up and down the front of my thighs. Now, if you'd seen me here earlier in the week, this was very painful. I've been working on them and they are a lot looser than they were. With all of our foam rolling, we don't really want to be going more than a kind of 7 out of 10, or we don't want to be getting to a point where we're tensing up. We're trying to relax the muscle and loosen it up. So if you're having to tense and kind of brace against it, you're not going to be getting in there. So if it is hurting more than that, just do a little bit, but also think about pushing more into the floor. You can have your feet on the floor, walk the feet along as well. So you're taking more weight out of the body, out of the point of contact with the foam roller. And I'm just going, first of all, up and down, up and down. Bit of exploring, seeing where it feels tightest. It's in a different place on the right side to the left side. So if it feels okay, you can move into just doing one leg or the other. Or you can start to turn onto one side, not all the way on the side, but just slightly to one side. So now I'm doing the outside of one leg, the inside of the other. Make sure with the foam rolling that you're not raising up at the front. You want to just keep yourself parallel to the ground. So you're not putting any pressure on the lower back. Now I'm switching over, so I'm doing the outside of my right leg, inside of the left leg. And now that that's all feeling a little bit looser, I'm going to go into single leg. Again, with that test, can I do it without having to brace too much? Keeping my right knee on the floor, just to make sure that I'm not putting too much weight through there. If it feels all right, then I can lift it up. Feels much higher on the right leg. Just crossing the left leg over, so I've got most of my weight through the right leg as I just get into the point where it feels tighter. So I could spend hours here, and I have been spending hours here most evenings. Do spend some time here though. For most of us, our thighs, our quad muscles are tight. And as I say, if they are tight, they're going to be pulling on that kneecap. The kneecap's going to be sort of grating more onto the surface below, which is not going to lead to a comfortable feeling. So we want to make sure we've loosened them up before we start pounding the streets in our races. If you have the option of a massage, absolutely go for it. A massage is always going to be better, well, mostly always going to be better than foam rolling, because they can really target the areas and they're trained, they know what they're doing, they know how to get in there, know where they need to focus. This is kind of like the poor man's massage, or poor woman's massage. So there's your quads. I'm then going to do the inside of my thigh, which you can do with your foam roller parallel to the body, inside of the thigh there, but I find it easier with a ball. So I've got my ball, and it could just be a tennis ball, spiky ball, massage ball. I'm a big fan of the black roll balls. Doesn't matter which size. They're just light and easy to carry with you if you're traveling. And I'm just doing the inside of that knee. I can do foot up and down. I can do round and round, and just making sure there's nothing tight in there. You could also, if you only had a ball, you can do the front of your thighs as well with some cross friction through there. Onto the inside of the thigh on the other side. And again, that is all feeling a lot better than it was at the beginning of the week. Then I'm going to go into my calves. So for calves, legs out in front of me, all underneath, and I'm just going left to right. I'd start either at one end or the other end of your legs. So I'm starting just around the back of the ankle, working around that Achilles area, loosen up anything that's tight there, and then just working my way along the leg, spending a little bit longer if you find anywhere that's feeling particularly knotty. turning the foot all the way to one side and the other. So you're doing the inside and the outside of the back of the leg. Oh, found a knot there. So if you find anywhere that feels tighter, feels knottier, just spend a little bit longer getting in there. You can add in some weight from that other leg if that feels right. And I would always go for this way of rolling my calves rather than with my legs on the foam roller out ahead. It allows you to get into the inside and the outside of the calf a lot better, but it also allows you to direct that pressure in. You're just rolling your calves by sort of pushing into your hands and rolling up and down on the calves in front of you. I find that gives me a kind of tricep workout, but doesn't really achieve much in terms of my calves. Onto the other side. Same again, just working through. Whoop, found another one. Finding those knots, loosening up as you go. Then we're going to go onto your hamstrings. So for your hamstrings, you want to be sitting on a solid surface. And then we're going to take the ball. And if you had two balls, you could do both legs at the same time. I'm going to take the ball underneath the leg, start around the back of the knee. And again, just cross friction, left to right, working your way up and down. Make sure you're going all the way from the left to the right. And again, you can get that leg swinging so you can get to the inside and the outside of the back of the leg. Just working the way along. I don't have very tight hamstrings, so I'm not going to spend too long in here, but obviously if you were getting some good juicy knots in there, spend a bit longer working through. I think I might have spoken too soon. Might just spend a bit longer here. And we're going to go all the way down to our sit bone. Have a bit of a wiggle there. And then same on the other side. Using the time again, as I said, thinking about that mindset, thinking about those long, slow breaths in time with what you're doing to help you relax into the stretching or the rolling, but also to help calm the nervous system if you are getting stressed ahead of a race. But also you could use this time to start to interrogate those thoughts. If you are getting stressed, ask yourself what you're actually scared of. And your mind is going to come up and go, blah, blah, blah. And you go, okay, let's slow that down and let's go through each of those individually. What is it you're actually worried about? And then challenge yourself on each of those things. Are they really that bad? Are they that big a deal? Your mind's probably coming up with things like, I don't think I can do it. So let's challenge ourselves there. What does do it actually mean? When we say, I don't think I can do it, we probably mean, I don't think I can do it in the time I'd hope to, or as fast as my friend or something. We probably don't literally mean, I don't think I can do it. If we need to walk at times because it feels too hard, that's fine. If we need to, on the swim, take a break and do some breaststroke, that's fine. So when we get ourselves into this very black and white thinking of, I don't think I can do it, we're only setting ourselves up to get more stressed and ultimately to fail because we decide we can't do it. Let's be flexible with ourselves. Let's be kind and curious rather than criticizing ourselves. And let's say, well, okay, if there's bits that you think are harder, how can we make them easier? How can we make it so you can get through? And often we just need to get through that tricky bit and then we're fine. Then we're back into it again. So thinking through what your mind's going to come up with, what negative things your mind's saying to you, and just challenging them, but in a curious sort of, oh, can we turn this round? Can we think about this in another way rather than a going in for a fight type way? Okay, that's hamstrings done. Let's have a check in on our glutes. So you can do this sitting on the floor. I like to do it up against the wall because it just means I can put the amount of pressure I want in there. So I'm standing with the ball behind me bum and just going into the wall, just having a roll around. You can try facing into the wall a bit more. bit further away. Work all the way through that glute. You might find to do sort of the bits down the bottom, it's easier to do it either sitting back on that hard surface or on the floor. You can get into them on the wall. Don't neglect up at the top of the glutes, almost kind of going into the lower back. Have a work through there. Up onto the other side. And again, if you'd seen these earlier in the week, I would have been wincing and I'd be here for a lot longer, but that's all loosening up nicely. You can start this roll. Well, I would say you should be rolling and stretching and mobilizing on a regular basis anyway, but coming up to a race, particularly once you've got that last big training session out the way, when you're likely to be feeling at your tightest, great opportunity then to start on that rolling, start seeing where the problem areas are, the areas you need to spend a little bit longer working through, and just work through them. Lovely. You can spend longer, obviously, on your glutes if you need to. And then I'm going to go into my shoulders. So still up against the wall. Again, you can do it on the floor, but it's harder to adjust the pressure you're putting in. I'm putting the ball just down the back of my shoulder. First of all, I'm working the bit kind of from the shoulder, like the back of the neck, the side, back of the shoulder. But the bit, if somebody came up behind you and gave you a massage, that bit there, you're trapped. Getting into those muscles there, which can get very tight from everyday life, sitting at the computer, getting tense, as well as from our training. So just pushing into the wall, working through there. And then take the ball a little bit lower down. You find you keep on dropping the ball, stick it into a sock so you can just hold it there, drop it over. And now I'm just working around the back of the shoulder blade. We never want to roll onto bone, but just working around that area, or we don't want to put, loads of pressure direct onto the bone, just working around the area, loosening it up. Same on the other side. Don't know if you can hear that clicking and crunching, something's a bit tight in there. Mental note that I need to come back and work on that a little bit more. Down to the shoulder blade. And then you can also try getting into your lats here. So I'm getting into the back of the rib cage. I tend to get very knotty just kind of around the back of the armpit. So I can use the ball to get in there. You could equally well be on the foam roller and work through your lats. I went through that in a bit more detail in the swim video, mobility for swimmers. Getting around the back on this side as well. I'm just kind of working along the ribs. I'm not trying to roll the bone itself, but the area between them. And again, for me, it's that area just at the sort of just behind and below the armpit. It can get very tight. So just working through there. You find what feels right for you. If you're rolling and you're like, I don't even know what she's on about, there's nothing tight there, you feel you have to do it. Go to where you know feels tight and work through there. Lovely, then we're just going to do your chest, especially if you're doing swimming. There's a lot of that pulling in there. You can get quite tight here. So I'm positioning the ball up and down that sort of front bit there, the front strap of my vest, up and down that area. And I'm doing that either pushing into kitchen counter, table, some solid surface, or you can do it into the wall, but you tend to headbutt the wall a bit then. So I find it easier to push down. can work it along, or you can, if you find one of those places, you can push in and just breathe and try and get the muscle to relax as you breathe out. Feel myself almost sinking into it there. Nice long, slow breaths out onto the other side. Lovely. Feet standing on the ball, working through. Have a go through the arch of the foot, ball of the foot. Again, you'll be able to see, you feel if it needs it. If it doesn't need it, don't worry. And then just thinking through, is there anywhere else that's feeling tight? I think we've attacked, or not attacked, we've gently mobilized and worked with most places. But if there's anywhere else that's feeling particularly tight, wants a bit of loosening, get in there either with your stretching, with the foam roller, with the ball, whatever feels best for you. And again, just check in with those thoughts, making sure we're not letting our thoughts spiral, not making sure we're not getting letting the nerves get out of control, using those nice, long, slow, deep breaths to relax us. And then starting to think ahead to the race. You can run through your transitions, you can run through anything that's helpful for you to run through. Just getting yourself prepped mentally, getting yourself excited. We can reframe those nerves as positive excitement, like a kid on Christmas Day. Okay, so I hope that's helpful. As I say, you can do it after a race, before a race, whatever feels good for you. Good luck with the race, or I hope the race went well if you've done it. And I look forward to seeing you next week for more Mobility Monday. If you like the videos, please do like and subscribe so you can get more coming through to you. Brilliant. See you.